it. So let's talk about, we talked about some of the common wellness and health challenges that athletes face. You talked about some of the injuries, arthritis and things of that nature. How do you feel that cannabis has helped you in this season of your life? You've talked about your ability to kind of create more, and even kind of protect your own energy, vibration, and world. I feel like you've been able to really, like, it sounds like you've been able to really tap into the true essence of who you are. What would you say to other athletes who are kind of like on the fence because they grew up in the same, they may have played during the same time frame, or even older athletes who just came under a different regime where it wasn't approved, it wasn't promoted? What would you tell them in terms of like helping them to destigmatize the plant?
I would tell them to be responsible,
Yeah.
right? I think being responsible and showing it in a different light by the results, it says volumes for
Yeah.
anything. I mean, if you're trying to prove a point, prove it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And
You
I
know what I'm
love
saying?
to see how many professionals are now choosing cannabis, because it takes away the stigma that cannabis is only for an urban recreational community. And that goes back to the conversation that we were going to delve into. How do you feel about that now that we get to show a different face of the plant and where it's taking our community?
I'm loving it because I just think it's a testament to it's a testament to the overall awakening of our community.
Yeah.
Like our community is now starting to really say, okay, listen, let me start looking at what I'm ingesting versus just ingesting it.
Yeah.
Like we're starting to get, and that goes for food, weed, pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
diet, TV. We're as a coach, as a community in our culture, I can sense us starting to kind of stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
Absolutely.
In a way, you know what I'm saying? It's not where it needs to get to yet, but I can feel the current starting to change, and I think this is a direct reflection of that. Everybody is starting to open their third eye a little bit and understanding, like, yo, this is not here just to be dumbed out and yes, there's a relief for that.
Yeah.
But there's also something else, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think we're starting to understand that there's more than other options. And I do believe at one time they were flooding us with indica. They would not let us get anything other than indica. I think they flooded our community with indica purposely.
Yeah.
You know
Because
what I'm
they
saying?
wanted to sedate us.
So that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They talking about the consumption of things that have been designed for our detriment, right? I'm a huge hip hop fan. I think that as a millennial, I am a part of that hip hop generation. And so, again, the book Post Traumatic Slavery Syndrome, if you guys have never read it, I recommend it for everyone in our culture. It talked about how they observed through media how we responded to rhythm. So they knew that because we were of African descent, that we responded to rhythm and to sound and to music differently. Like it literally went through our bodies. I mean, we've talked about over the years how different genres of music it was stolen from. You know, we were there first, and then other races would get the credit, but it was a genre that we really popularized, and they were stealing our dance moves, etc. We talk about music and we talk about how they understood that we were rhythmic. The messaging around cannabis for so long was so toxic and detrimental, as if we were not actually healing in the process. And, you know, the hoods, you know, when we talk about some of the inner cities and the conversations from the 90s and the crack era and all of that stuff, there's trauma at every doorstop almost. You know, I mean, just thinking about the number of single parents, and there was trauma everywhere, but yet we were being policed for what we decided was our medicine. And I think that that's something that is really important to understand, that now we have the opportunity to be honest about our use, to be vocal about it, and even to be selective, to go to facilities and choose the strain and to educate ourselves on the differences in the plant, and not just, you know, introduce ourselves to a black market that may still be infiltrated with a quality of a plant that may not be good for our well-being.
Right.
We've seen a lot of the like K2 and a couple of other synthetic drugs. I remember when that plant came out, and we would drive through DC, and you would literally just see people just laying in the park. I mean, they were just out for the count, and it looked like, you know, weed, but it wasn't. And I think that that's so important, that we as a culture are aware that now, with the biggest benefit to the decriminalization of marijuana is that we get a chance to understand what we're consuming,
Right.
and to make better decisions. Yeah, so I think that's awesome. What do you were gonna say something about what they're offering us and to be careful with everything. Kind of go into that a little bit more.
Well, I mean, we wanted decriminalization. We wanted all of it to open up and be demonsterized in a way, basically, because our community was suffering. We had most of the people incarcerated are incarcerated behind some weed. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But with the flip side of that coin of it becoming decriminalized, a lot of places, we got to understand that they're not doing nothing for something without getting something.
Right.
And that was what was slowing it down in the first place. It was like, man, we're going to really lose a pipeline to keep filling these jails up, one. But also, if we're going to lose that resource, then let us find a way we can maximize this thing. So instead of, basically not fighting the times no more, they got with the times, and now they just going to take control of it and then, put their stuff into it, make it again become a weapon in our community.